a big part of the therapeutic process is taking what's hidden in the unconscious and bringing it out into bringing it out into your consciousness so that you can actually work on it. Because if you're unconscious of it, literally, like what that means is you don't know that it's there. So you can't work on anything that's still stuck in your unconscious. So you've got to bring it out into the open so that you can reflect on it, reconsider it, and redesign your hierarchy of needs so that you can have them, that your needs in the order that would make your life go better for you or in the way that you want to live. For example, achievers tend to have their needs for significance, autonomous competence, and security or variety as the top driving forces in their lives. But a life lived in the service of meeting those needs primarily and above the other human universal needs, such as love or connection or spontaneous play, is ultimately going to be an unsatisfying and unfulfilling life. In addition to the hierarchy of needs that we have, so in addition to the order in which they are important to us, the order of importance they are for us, and the importance in terms of driving our lives, operationally, what's the hierarchy of our needs? And that'll tell us a ton about ourselves. Also, if you learn her or the other person's hierarchy of needs, you'll learn a ton about them. And it's really important when you're in a relationship to know your spouse or your partner's hierarchy of needs so that you can help them meet their needs, or you can do a better job of helping to meet their needs alongside them, encouraging them to meet their own needs. So in addition to the hierarchy of needs, you also should look at the conditions or rules by which you meet those needs or get those needs met. And this structure of needs and rules, I have learned through the Tony Robbins coaching certification course. So props to Tony Robbins for developing that. But he's also borrowing from all of the therapy that focuses on needs, which is all psychotherapy, from the very beginning, Freud and Jung looking deeply at needs. But this idea of looking at the conditions is really important. So how are you going about meeting, for instance, your need for connection? So if you require other people to meet your need for, in this example, connection, then you're always going to be needy. So you might not notice your neediness because you happen to have some friends with you, but when you don't have any friends or when they are not meeting your need for connection, maybe they're being douchebags or whatever, then you feel, oh, I don't have this need for connection met anymore, and I feel lonely or rejected, right? And that's another example from significance. Often rejection has to do with significance, that if other people approve of you, look up to you, etc., give you props, then you feel good about yourself. Well, that's a bad way to go. That's a recipe for discontent, unfulfillment. It's a recipe for unhappiness. And it also is a recipe for neediness, so bringing it back to neediness, right? So you will notice that when I say you're able to cover over your neediness momentarily or temporarily with tips or tactics or whatever, it's because in that moment, even if that tip is effective, which most tips aren't, but if it's effective, what you're getting is just simply, it's like an alcoholic getting some alcohol or like a drug addict getting some drugs. In that moment, you don't feel your addiction. You don't feel your neediness, but it's still there. And it's actually worse if you, like I shared in the last episode, if you actually get the tips to work for you, because now you're just adding another layer of conditioning, getting you hooked on the wrong way to go, getting you hooked on that wrong stimuli. So you'll notice that as you remove the need for others to meet your needs for you, you'll discover your root neediness. And then it'll be more obvious to you that that's not going to work. So going back to, I gave the examples of significance and connection. The question for you is, how are you getting these needs met? And the thing to do is to go down that list of 10 needs. First, you got to order them in the order in which your hierarchy of needs is. So which needs have been more important in your life, operationally in your life? And again, I cover that in the course Invincible and lead our students, our guys, through a process to discover that for themselves. Once you get your hierarchy of needs, then you go through, starting from the top need and work your way down, each of those needs to discover which conditions are in play for each of these needs. What rules are there for you? So in other words, let's say your top need is security. Well, what does it take for you to feel security? And so you list those out. right? It might mean, in this case, security, somebody else telling you or being there for you, telling you you're secure, right? If you need that, you're now dependent on the other person, right? So your self-esteem, your peace, your happiness is at the mercy of somebody else. And no wonder you're needy. You're literally needy. You need them to meet your needs, right? And that's why you feel needy. And that's why you're never actually happy and independent and content. And actually, that's why you're never attractive naturally, right? You're just covering over your neediness momentarily when that person happens to meet your needs for you. And that's not a position that any mature person wants to be in. Maturity means that you are able to meet your own needs. You learn to meet your own needs for yourself, in yourself.